ஓம் ஐந்து கரத்தனை ஆனை முகத்தனை இந்தின் இளம்பிறை போன்ற எயிற்றினை நந்தி மகந்தனை ஞானக் கொழுந்தினை புந்தியில் வைத்தடி போற்றுகின்றேனே. வசுதேவ் வசுதம் தேவம் கம்சஜானுரமர்தனம் தேவகி பரமானந்தம் கிருஷ்ணம் வந்தே ஜகத்குரும் கிருஷ்ணம் வந்தே ஜகத்குரும் கிருஷ்ணம் வந்தே ஜகத்குரும்.
Okay, we will go to the Ashtadasha Adhyaya. Many people consider the last chapter and the second chapter as very important. Second chapter is also about 70 plus shlokas. This also is about 70 plus shlokas. So virtually Gita can be, even though there are 18 chapters, the first chapter is, I think I mentioned, is virtually a preamble. Real instructions start from the second chapter, where the most important message that the Purusha is pure consciousness. And that is distinctly different from the body, which everyone considers to be the self. That was the message given in the first chapter. And then keeping that in the background, other things will have to be understood. All the other things that is mentioned in the rest of the chapters, you must keep it in mind. The instructions given in the first chapter. So the second chapter is the most important one, where it gives the information that the real self is not what we consider to be our own selves. With that understanding, the Arjuna will have to proceed with the duty. Previously, he didn't have that knowledge, so he was in a utter confusion at that time. So if Krishna merely went on talking to him, just all of us do. No, it is fine. No, you got to do this work. This is the way we normally Laukika method. That won't have worked with him. So he had to be told the truth. He had to be told the truth about himself, who really you are, and then with that knowledge. Now he has given a lot of other instructions, what he should do, how he should go about, and what should be his ultimate goal after completing his duties. Don't start anything afresh. That's what he says in the middle chapters. Don't start anything fresh. This is your duty, complete this, and then start working towards the spiritual goal. So like that, the instruction mainly is each one of us should understand that the real self is not what we consider to be our own selves. That information itself is something unique. Of course, not just to the Bhagavad Gita. In all the various other texts like Yoga Sutra, Sankhya, Vedanta, all of them give this information. Each one explains in so many different ways. You see, most of the other texts, they are all normally read by people who are already renunciates, or people who have got that particular tendency. But this is one of the rare occasions when the instruction is given to an ordinary person like all of us. So the whole idea is you need not hesitate to give these instructions to even ordinary people. And this could form a good part of the advice or instructions if somebody is in Vishada, when it's in a lot of confusion. Okay? If somebody is in confusion, it is probably the right time to tell everybody that this is the nature of yourself, and what you consider to be yourself is not really you. At the same time, the entire Bhagavad Gita is to start from where you are, complete all your duties, don't start anything afresh, complete all your duties. Once you complete your duties, try to understand the true nature of your own self. There are several methods available. You go Abhyasa Vairagya Abhyam, this can be done. Okay, the means are available. How to find it? You find somebody who will be able to teach. This is the instruction, basically, is given. So last chapter is very much similar, except the second chapter is much more technical. Here, it's more like summarizing his entire teaching. Arjuna Vacha, Arjuna said, Sannyasasya mahabaho tattvamichhami veditum tyagasya cha hrishikesha pratakkeshi nishodhana. Now, he uses two terms, tyaga and sannyasa. Tyaga and sannyasa. These are technical terms. These are quite commonly used. Many people write about the difference between tyaga and sannyasa. So he is asking the question, Arjuna is asking the question, what is the difference between tyaga and sannyasa? What is the literal meaning of the word tyaga? Tyaga is to give up. Tyaja is to give up. Tyaja is to give up. Tyaga is to the act of giving up. So what to give up is the problem. What should I give up? What should I give up? So tyaga becomes a routine in India. When you are 50, 60 years old, normally people from the south go all the way to Benares, and then they will start their spiritual journey. First thing that they will do is to give up something. They give up something. What will they give up? They say one food item, one food item that you like, you start giving up. So everybody goes there, they give up normally something which they don't anyway eat. So they give up and then come. Of course. Yeah. The whole idea is you must start giving up. The whole thing is you must start giving up, because ultimately we have to give up this body. So you prepare yourself by giving up. Tyaga. What is the sannyasa? What is the meaning of the word sannyasa?
Renunciate?
Yes, renunciate. Actually the word sam plus nyasa. Nyasa itself is ni plus asa. Asa means to keep aside. Like in asana, where you keep yourself in a particular position. Asa is to place something aside. Ni means permanently. Nyasa means I am going to keep it aside. Keep it aside permanently. Then the word sam is total. Samnyasa, keeping aside everything. So the word sannyasa means to give up everything. So what do you give up? You give up everything that is possible. You give up everything that is possible. That's the meaning. So people who take to sannyasa, what they do is they are supposed to give up everything. They will give up the family. They will give up whatever little wealth they have. They give up everything and then they go away. That's called sannyasa. Then you give up everything, but then if the mind keeps on thinking about all the objects that you are giving up, all right, I got to give up because that's a good thing to do. That's what I should do. But at the same time, in the heart of hearts, you don't want to give up. If that is the case, that kind of sannyasa is the problem. That kind of sannyasa is the problem. You go up and go away. After some time, you find that you are not able to live with all those things that you have given up. You see, that should not happen. You should have given up, not only give up title over all these things, you must also have given up emotionally, completely, you must have given up. Otherwise what happens, the sannyasa does not work. Because you take to sannyasa, but what are the advantages? You don't have any responsibilities, you go, but then you don't worry about anything, and wherever you go, people will feed you, and then you don't worry about it. So because sannyasins are those who are able to give up everything, ordinary people who are not able to give up anything, they start looking up to them, how is it they are able to do. So they come to you, and then over a period of time, that what happens is then you start getting conceited. You think that you are great, and all the bad things start happening. One thing you think that you are very important. The second thing is you start hankering after all those things that you had given up. Okay, that's happened. That's so 50% of the sannyasins, all of them slide back. They slide back. Some of them openly say that I can't be a sannyasi. But some people they are the worst. They are the worst people. They don't accept that they were not ready for that and come back. So in the olden days, that's why when you want to become a sannyasi, the wife should be able to permit you to become a sannyasi. She should be able to give you permission to become a sannyasi, because the wife knows you much better. Before the outside world knows, she knows you well. She tells you, she will be able to say, okay, this person is fit to become a sannyasi. She is the first person to certify. If she does not certify, of course, sometimes they don't they don't certify because they want somebody to take care of them. But if other things are taken care of, if the wife certifies, then it is safe. Otherwise, what happens? They become sannyasis. Later on, they create a lot of. They become a nuisance. Yeah. So even earlier, he talked a lot about sannyasa, where the more important thing is not the kind of dress you wear, or you become you travel all over without residing any place. Just follow the rules, outside rules, but then emotionally in your mind, if you are not to become because the mind should be pure and fit, so that it will be able to think of the Brahman and all those things that are. But if the mind is still not ripe, it is not still ready, then this is not the right thing to do. So there are two things. One, your wife should allow you to become a sannyasi. The second is another sannyasi who is should be able to approve. She must give you diksha. He must say, okay, you are fit to become a sannyasi, so I will make you a. Many people don't do it nowadays in India. They just run away from their home, just buy these clothes from a shop, and then they are sannyasis. You ask them who gave you diksha, they have no answer. Yeah. Some of them have a few siddhis here and there, and then they can exploit to the hilt. Okay, so here Arjuna, sannyasasya mahabaho tattvamichhami vedavite Tyagasya cha Hrishikesha Pratikkeshi Nishudana. Hrishikesha is who? Hrishikesha is Krishna. What is meant by Hrishikesha? Hrishika Isha. Hrishika means Hrishika is the Indriyas. Indriyas are also Devas. Isha means the Lord. Hrishikesha. Likewise, Arjuna's name is Gudakesha. Gudaka Isha. Gudaka means tamas. Isha is able to, what you call, completely conquer tamas. That's why he is called Gudakesha. Hrishikesha. Mahabaho. Mahabaho means what? Got great arms. Mahabaho here he refers to Krishna himself. Keshi Nishudana, the third epithet. Keshi Nishudana, the destroyer of Keshi, another Rakshasa. Sannyasasya, of sannyasa. Tyagasya cha, of tyaga. Tattvam, what do you call, the essence of these. Pratak, separately, Veditum, to know Ichchami. What is the difference between sannyasa and tyaga? Tyaga is giving up, sannyasa is giving up. What is the difference between these two terms? Then the Lord replies, Kamyanam karmanam nyasam sannyasam kavayo viduhu sarva karma phalatyagam praguhu tyagam vichakshanaha. He doesn't directly answer. He says this is the common belief by the experts. Kavayaha. Kavayaha here refers to the great, what called the great kavis of the Vedas, Vedic kavis. What is the meaning of the word kavi? Have you heard the term kavi? Normally we use the term kavi for a poet, but kavi means kam brahmanam vayati iti kavihi. The one who is able to describe Brahman in so many different ways, like the way we can understand. Just like you weave what you call a cloth, with various designs. The same Brahman, these people are able to describe in so many ways. That's why you got so many Upanishads. Each Upanishad tries to explain the ultimate reality in so many days, so that each one can understand in our own way. So Kavayaha, great scholars, great rishis, Kavayaha. Kamyanam karmanam. What is meant by Kamyanam karmanam? Activities that you do with a desire, with a goal. What are the various Kamya karmas? Can you tell me one Kamya karma? I'm talking about the Vedic karma, any Kamya karma. I think I mentioned to you about the Putra Kameshti. I want a male progeny, So what do? I go there and then try to do a yajna that is mentioned in the Vedas. It's called Putra Kameshti Yaga. Putra Kameshti, if I want what you call Putra, then I can do this particular yajna and it's supposed to be helpful. And one of the instances in the Ramayana where the Dasharatha did the Putra Kameshti Yaga and then we got 4 children, not 1. So, okay, Kamyanam, this is a Kamya karma, Like that, there are a number of Kamya karmas. There is a yajna called Ashwamedha. I don't know whether you heard of that. When you do Ashwamedha yajna, if you do it 100 times, you replace the existing Indra, and then you become Indra. So what is my goal? My goal is to become an Indra. So I do all this. These are all Kamya karmas with a motive. Kamyanam karmanam nyasa is to give up. Giving up all the activities with a motive. All activities with a motive. But doing only those activities which are required to be done. What are the activities that are required to be done? Supposing I want to take a vacation to let us say, where can I take a vacation to? To Timbuktu? No. Somewhere I want to go take a vacation. That's a Kamya karma. The travel is, it's optional. I just want to do it. On the other hand, filing your returns, I think I mentioned to you, is a Naimitya karma. You have got to do it. You have got to do this. Everybody has to do it. You may choose not to go on a vacation, but then you cannot choose not to do these activities. So Nitya, Naimitya, Kamya karma. So doing only the Nitya karma, the daily activities, like as I told you, the Sandhya that we are required to do, like when there are the daily bath I have to take, all of them are Nitya karmas. Or do Ishvara Pujana, that's the daily activity. All these things are Nitya karmas. Naimitya karmas are those activities whichever I am supposed to do, like Pitri Yajna, doing some religious activities on the day of the parent's death. These are all Naimitya karmas. I have to do them. Kamya karmas are those which I have to do, which I do with a goal in mind. I want to go to heaven number 14. There is a yajna, I got to do that. I do that yajna all through my life and then I go to that particular heaven after I die. These are all Kamya karmas. Okay. Kamya karmas are those done with a motive. And then the Vedas contain all the three. The Vedas contain the mantras or the yajna for the Nitya karma. They also contain upasana. This is a Nitya karma you are supposed to do on a daily basis. Naimitya karma, as I told you, are to be done at the appropriate appropriate time. then Kamya karmas are optional, absolutely optional. So he says the two things. One, you avoid doing Kamya karma, that is, he calls it as sannyasa here, completely avoid doing all the Kamya karmas. The other thing is, even if you do Kamya karma, don't think about the results. Even if you do the Kamya karma, do it without thinking of the result, because many of the Kamya karmas are very purifying. They say many of the rituals are purifying, but only things don't keep your don't keep your mind on the results thereof. Is it clear? No. Nitya karma, naimitya karma, kamya karma doing without without thinking of the results. Okay, kamya karma, and he says, Kavayaha, great sages, kamyanam karmanam, okay, kamyanam karmanam, giving up all the activities which has got a motive, nyasa, giving up, sannyasam, they say that is sannyasa. They understand it that way. Vichakshanaha, there are certain other great sages, sarva karma phala tyagam, give up all your activities, tyagam prahuhu. These are two views are there. One view is you must be able to do all the activities which are prescribed duties. Prescribed duties will have to be done. Whereas for the sannyasi, for the tyagi that he is talking about, the second tyagam, sarva karma phala tyagam, vichakshanaha, sarva karma phala tyagam. Okay, you give up the results of all the activities. There is virtually no difference. There is virtually no difference between these two, because the the nitya naimitya karma do not have any. They do not produce any results. Okay, so these are two statements. One statement is you give up all desire for the results of all your activities. That's what the Tyagi says. Whereas the some others say give up the give up the desire for the results of all kamya karmas. But the nitya naimitya karmas, there are no specific results that accrue out of that. Okay, we'll go to the next sloka. Tyajyam doshavatityeke karma prahuhu manishinaha yajna dana tapak karma satyagam iti chapare. Eke manishinaha, people, great thinkers, a few great thinkers, karma, all karma, doshavat, all karmas are doshavat. Doshavat means have defects. All karmas have got defects. Tyajam, therefore, they should be given up. All activities. So that is what the sannyasis do. What do the sannyasis do? They give up everything. They don't do the daily karma. They don't do any puja. They are not, of course, some sannyasis do, but according to them, there are a number of sannyasa texts, how they should conduct themselves. Normally, we wear a yajnopavita, a religious thread, which we use, for doing our daily religious activities. They give up that also. They give up everything. They give up their home, they give up all possessions, and then they don't do any of the nitya naimitya karmas, because they would like to spend their entire time thinking of the ultimate Brahman, which is nishkarma. There is no activity in Brahman. So they will not do anything, so that ultimately they will become Brahman themselves. Provided I have all the, I have got the necessary mental discipline. If I have that, I can do that. But most people, it is very difficult to have that. You have to work towards that. Nischayam shunu me tatra tyage bharata sattama tyago hi purusha vyaghra trividaha samprakirtitaha. Now he says there are three types of tyaga. Some people give up activities because they would like to spend their entire lifetime on the spiritual path. So they think that the worldly activities are an impediment. They are dragging them in the opposite direction. So they want to give up. There are some people who give up activities because it is difficult to do. So he wants to talk about. People give up activities. Some are genuinely interested in the spiritual path. Some others are not genuinely interested in the spiritual path. Be careful about that kind of tyaga. Bharata Sattama. What is Bharata Sattama? The one who is great among the Bharata dynasty. He belongs to the Bharata dynasty. Bharata Sattama. Who is that? Arjuna. Purusha Vyagra, this is another epithet. Purusha Vyagra. Purusha means men. Purusha means men. Vyagra means tiger. Like a tiger among men. He calls Arjuna as a tiger. Tatra Tyage. In that matter of Tyaga, my nischayam. So he is talked about the views of Tyaga by other experts earlier. Now he says, let me give you my, my thinking on these lines. Siddhanta, my conclusion on this. Tyage me nischayam siddhanta shrunu. Listen to me. Tyagaha trividaha, three types. Samprakirtitaha. Tyaga is of three types. Again, he goes to the three gunas. यज्ञजान तपस्कर्म न त्याज्यम कार्यमेव तत् यज्ञो दानं तपश्चैव पावनानि मनीषिणाम्. According to him, yajna, dana, tapas. What is yajna? The various religious rites. We have come across yajna in one of the earlier chapters, Pranam, apane, jukvati. Yogi does yajna by doing the union of prana and apana by pranayama and also the bandhas. Likewise, there are a number of other yajnas mentioned in the earlier chapters. Yajna, dana, tapakarma. Yajna, dana, tapakarma. Yajna, dana, tapas, all these three karmas, natyajam, you should not give up. According to Krishna, he tells Arjuna, don't give up all these three. Natyajam. Why? At this particular stage, you are not fit to give up all these things. Okay? Natyajam. Tat karyameva. Karyam, what is karya? Kartum yogyam karyam. Something that has to be done. Okay? What are the things that one has to do? Yajna, dana, tapas. What is yajna? Yajna are the religious rites. Dana was charity, charity, and tapas is austerity. All these things should be maintained. Tapaha chayeva, manishinam, for people, wise people, pavanani, they are purifying. Why should I do it? Because these activities have got the effect of purifying the body and the mind. Tapas is a purifier. Okay? From that point of view, you should do this. Even a sannyasi should do it because that is going to purify his body and also his mind. Yetanyapi tu karmani sangam tyaktva phalani cha kartavyani niti me partha nishchitam matam uttamam. Okay, now he still do all these yajna, dana, tapas, partha, Arjuna, yetani karmani api. All these karmas that he mentioned earlier, which are the karmas he mentioned? Tapas, dana and yajna. Yajna, dana, tapas. He is not talking about doing business. No, that he does not include it. He says these are the three activities, are essential activities. Yajna, dana, you should not give it up. Yajna is a, is a nitya karma. Dana is a nitya karma. Tapas is a nitya karma. You should not give up. All these three should not be given up. Partha, etani karmani api. All these karmas. Sangam means attachment. Attachment towards what? Attachment to the results. I am going to get something out of this yajna. Phalani cha, attachment and looking for the results. Tyaktva, giving up. Attachment to the results and also expecting the results to happen. Constantly you keep on thinking about, oh yeah, I am going to get this, I am going to get this, I have done this, I will get this. Tyaktva, kartavyani, all the activities will have to be done without thinking about the, the fruits that you are going to get or the attachment to those fruits. Iti, thus may my nishchitam, firm, nishchitam, and also uttamam, the highest mataha. My, theory is that you should do all these activities, then don't think of the results, don't get attached to the results. Don't give up all the activities, as some of the scholars are saying. You do all the activities, only thing is give up the results or attachment to the results. Any question? Today you are all very quiet. Yes. Yes.
So ultimately, is there a difference at all between sannyasa and tyaga?
No. Ultimately there is no difference. But then normally the word tyaga is used for karma phala tyaga. Okay, karma phala tyaga. Sannyasa is karma sannyasa. You give up all. This is the general understanding. Tyaga normally refers to a karma yogi where he gives up the results of all the activities. Karma tyaga normally we don't say. Karma phala tyaga we say. Karma phala tyaga. Sannyasa, karma sannyasa. All the activities ultimately they give up. Once you reach the stage of Brahmanhood or the Brahma Nirvana, they are calling this only with respect to, in the Advaita tradition, Brahma Nirvana is accepted where you are able to merge with the Brahman or like in the Kaivalya in yoga, Brahma Nirvana in Vedanta, Advaita Vedanta, and also Nirvana in Buddhism. We can say that there is no activity. All activities are at a standstill in that particular state. So, sannyasa has got a relevance. Sannyasa has got a relevance. But only thing is when should you do that? When should you give up all the activities? The first thing that you got to do is karma phala tyaga. First thing that you keep on doing all the required duties. Nitya naimitya karma. But here he says even kami karma if you do, but give up all your decisions. So all activities are good, provided you don't attach any importance to the results thereof. If you don't do Kamya Karma, some people say don't get involved in Kamya Karma, which is always defective. So you must at least do Nitya Naimitya Karma, whatever you are required to do, like Yajna, Tapas and Dana. Yajna is what basically, Yajna is, if you are a yogi, already a yoga practice itself is a Yajna. Tapas is control over the senses, will be tapas. Dana, whatever you are able to, you can help the other creatures, that will become dana. If you are able to do that on a regular basis, you meet the requirements. You meet the requirements. Okay. Then over a period of time, what happens? More and more time you will be with your own self. The chittavritti start coming down, and after some time, there the mind will be completely able to reach the stage of nirodha. At that particular stage, at that stage you will not be actually inclined to do any of the various activities. So I have to develop to that particular stage before I am able to give up all the activities. I don't give up all the activities and try to achieve this. So every one of us, all of us have got a particular situation. When I want to start on these paths, I may be married, I have a few children, I have responsibilities. I can't just run away and then say, okay, I have got to become a yogi. Many people run away from home. Why do they run away from home? Not because they want to achieve something higher. They want to run away from one person to go to somebody else. It's not an advancement or anything. That's what mostly happens. So that is going to talk about. That kind of tyaga is inferior. Giving up something because it is difficult is not tyaga. Does it help? नियतस्य तु संन्यासः कर्मणो नोपपद्यते मोहात् तस्य परित्यागः तामसः परिकीर्त्यते. Niyatasya karmani, all the nitya karmas or naimitya karmas, basically the tapas, dana and yajna, which are the daily duties, sannyasa, giving up all those activities, na upapadyate, it is not right. He says it is not right to give up the nitya karmas. It is my view. That's what he says. Mohat, by confusion, mohat, tasya, those nitya karmas, parityagaha, giving up all the daily karmas, tamasaha, it is tamasic. It is tamasic. It does not arise out of deep thinking. You give up everything. It is very common. I am fed up with life. So what do? I want to become a sannyasi. Very easy to become a sannyasi. Dukkamityeve yat karma kaya klesha bhayat tyajet sakritva rajasam tyagam naiva tyaga phalam labhet. Every morning I had to do my sandhya, I had to do Ishvara Pujana every day. It's boring, after some time, I feel lazy today. Today I feel lazy, I'm not going to yoga. Like that it keeps on. Suppose my Nitya Karma includes the daily Sandhya, then Ishvara Puja, say a few prayers, Ganesha prayer or whatever you are comfortable with, then do your yoga practice. This is my Nitya Karma. I have included yoga because it's necessary for my health. Then what do? Slowly give up everything. So giving up this is called tamas. Why do I do it? Oh, I don't feel like doing this. I would rather go out and then talk to my friend. Dukkham iti, because it is painful. Sometimes the yoga practice is not very pleasant. Is it pleasant? No. Getting up, it is not very pleasant. So it's okay, today excuse. Dukkham iti eva, it is painful or it's not pleasant. Kaya klesha bhayate. Kaya means body, klesha means pain. Kaya, body pain. Kaya klesha bhayate. Yat karma, whatever activities, tyajete, you give up. Saha, such kind of nyasa, such kind of giving up, rajasam tyaga, such kind of tyaga is called rajasic tyaga. If you do that, don't think that you become a sannyasi, you can go to heaven or you can become, you can understand the Purusha. It is not possible. What is the whole idea of tyaga? Ultimately, you should be able to reach the stage of Kaivalya if you are a yogi or a moksha, if you are a Vedantin, whatever be the. That cannot be reached by just giving up your nitya karma. It's not going to happen.
Karyamityeva yat karma niyatam kriyate arjuna sangam tyaktva phalam chaiva satyagaha satviko mataha.
Arjuna, Sangam means attachment. Phalam, results. Tyaktva, giving up your attachment to the results of the activity and also the looking for the results. Karyam iti eva. This activity is something I have to do. Do it as a duty. Supposing you consider doing yoga as a duty, then it becomes a different thing. No, don't we go to, when you are in an office every day, we go there because it's a duty, isn't it? Every day we go and work, every day we go and work. But when it comes to, when it comes to yoga practice or Ishvara Pujana or what this, I say, okay, no, I will take off today. Karyamiti, yat niyatam karyam. Again he repeats, niyatam karyam. Whatever you are required to do, niyatam karyam, kriyate, whatever is done, that it is my duty to do this, satyagaha, that tyaga, satvikaha, mataha. What do? I give up the results. Okay, I have got to do this, and I give up what? I give up what do you call? I give up the time that I got to spend on all these things without getting any results. That's a tyaga. I am able to give up. Nadveshti akushalam karma kushale nanushajyate tyagi sattva samavishtaha medhavi chinna samshayaha. Sattva samavishtaha. Okay, when my mind is full of sattva, medhavi means somebody who is a great thinker. Chinna samshayaha. Chinna means completely destroyed. Chinna means broken. Samshayaha, all my doubts are completely destroyed. Tyagi, such a person who gives up akushalam karma means the bad results. Nadveshti, he doesn't despise the bad results. Kushale, or if he finds happiness, na anushajyate, he doesn't develop attachment to that. Such a person is called Satvike. So he is a tyagi. What does he do? He has got no desire about the results of the activities, no attachment to the activities. He does all the activities. That is the tyaga. What is the tyaga he does? He spends his time. He goes through the ritual. He goes through everything that is to be done because this is my duty. Once you do that, such a person is called a Satvika Tyagi. He does all his activities without thinking about the results. If I am able to do that, I call such a Tyagi as a Satvika Tyagi. Nahi deha bhrita shakyam tyaktum karmani asheshatah vastu karma phalatyagi satyagi iti abhidiyate. Deha bhrita means anyone who is born as a being, asheshatah, without any residue, karmas, tyaktum, to give up, nahi shakyam. No, you can't do that. There are a number of activities that keep on going. I have to keep on breathing. There's a number of activities that keep on going. Anybody who has taken birth cannot give up all these activities. Nahi shakyam, it is not possible. But yaha, whosoever, karma phalatyagi, person who is able to give up the results of all the actions, saha tyagi iti abhidiyate. So he says, yes, certain activities will have to be done, activities that are required to maintain life, going and eating, taking to sleeping, all these activities I'll have to do. The yoga that calls it as these vrittis are also vrittis, chitta vritti, vishesha vritti, samanya vritti. Samanya vritti are the activities of the brain which are there to maintain life, samanya vritti. Whereas the individual thoughts we have are the vishesha vrittis. Instead of calling vishesha vritti, we call it as chitta vritti. Chitta vritti and samanya vritti. That samanya vritti will keep on going. I have to breathe, I have to eat. Everyone has to do some kind of activity. Even the sannyasi in the stage of Kaivalya, the body is functioning. The body is functioning like the chakra brahmavat, like the potter's wheel. It will still be active. So he merely says it is not possible absolutely to remove all activities, to give up all the activities. Some activities will be going on. So it's a question of degree. So what do you do first? You try to cut down all the kamya karmas, or if you do even kamya karmas, give up the desire for the result. If you do that, then you are making a progress. The first thing I got to do is, even if I do kamya karma means the activity is done with a goal in mind. Even if I do it, I got to forget about the goal, just do the activity. This is what I want to do. Then afterwards, you can give up the kamya karmas and completely do the nitya karmas, because there is nothing to be achieved. You just will do it without, you won't give up that. You don't give up that. Ultimately, due to your yoga practice and all, yoga karma is something unique when compared to other activities. When all the nitya naimitya kamya karma will not be able to do that, only yogi karma will be able to do that. What do? They help you to focus your attention on the ultimate reality, and then the spiritual path will be shown by yoga. Once you are able to reach that, then later on, ultimate in the stage, when you are able to get in the stage of samadhi, all the nitya naimitya karma also you don't have to go. Then you become a sannyasi. Am I making sense? That is why in the Yoga Sutras also we got the 3 stages. One will be the entry level yoga, which is the simplest yoga, which is the Kriya Yoga. then you get into the more involved Ashtanga Yoga, then ultimately you get this Samadhi Yoga, Nirodha Yoga. Each one leads to the other. So here what can Arjuna do? Arjuna can probably do the Kriya Yoga, he will do Kriya Yoga, bring down all the kleshas to a considerable extent. Once he will be able to bring the kleshas to considerable, do the pending duties. What is the activity he has got to do? Fight the war. Once he fights the war, and then probably he will rule for some time, and then simultaneously he can start working towards your yogic progress. And he has given sufficient material. In the second chapter he has told him this is what you should do. He has already given all the material that is needed. It is not, so the spiritual path that he is talking about is not something which is optional. Like the Nitya Karma that we are required to do, later on everyone will have to understand the true nature of the self and ultimately reach the stage of Kaivalya. Everybody will have to do that. So it is not too early to say anything about the spiritual matters. It can be done even in the battlefield. Nahi deha bhrita shakyam tyaktum karmani asheshatah yastu karma phalatyagi satyagi iti abhidiyate. Okay, everybody who has taken life, it is not possible to give up activities. That is, the person who is able to do activities without the desire for the result, that means what happens? You don't accumulate any karmashya. You don't add any karmashya which will lead you to another janma. That's what I got to be careful about. I still have to do activities. Only thing I got to see is I don't add to my karma bundle. So that is why karma ashukla akrishnam yoginaha trividam itaresham. Karma ashukla akrishnam yoginaha. Yoginaha of the yogis, karma, the activity is the yogi. Ashukla akrishnam. It is neither punya nor papa. It is neither punya nor papa, not white or black. So what does it mean? Because it is neither white or nor black, it will not add to your karma bundle. It will not take you to another janma. Even though a yogi, as a yogi, I am doing some activity. What is the activity I do? I do Kriya Yoga, I do my asana, I do my pranayama, I do my meditation. All of them do not add to my karma because there are what you call, there is no, you are not trying to get anything from the outside world. Okay. I am not trying to get anything from the outside world. Still these are activities. So that is why yogic activities, they specifically say they don't add to your karma. They don't add to your karma bundle. Ashukla Krishnam Yogina, Trividam Itaresham. All the other people, the activities that they do are of three types. They are either absolute papa, or absolutely punya, or mishra. The human beings, all the activities they do is mishra. You do something good, simultaneously you do something bad. All of them put together, you got a karma bundle with debits and credits. Anishtam ishtam mishram cha trividham karmanaha palam bhavati atyaginam pretya natu sannyasinam kvachit. Exactly the idea that is contained in the Yoga Sutras is mentioned here. Instead of the word yogi, he used the word sannyasi here. Atyaginam, tyagi means somebody who gives up. Atyaginam means ordinary people like us who don't give up the desire for the result. Atyaginam, pretya means after death. Anishtam means not desirable. That is what is not desirable. The same thing that you find in the Yoga Sutras. Satimule tadvipako jatyayur bhogaha te khlada paritapapalaha punya punyatpate. They khlada means happy, paritapa means unhappy. Te khlada paritapapalaha punya. The next janma may be khlada, a happy birth, or paritapapala. Paritapa means pitiable state. Depending upon the bundle of karmas I carry. Hrada paritapapalaha punya hetutvat. Now he says, Atyaginam, for those who know, who are not tyagis according to the way he explained earlier, who don't give up the, who hanker after the results, pretya after death, anishtam, ishtam, they either go to heaven or you go to some other place, or they reach a higher birth or they go to a lower type of birth. Anishtam, Trividam, three types of karmanaha palam. The karma's palam are mentioned as three types of pala. Punya, apunya and mishra. Is it clear? Punya, apunya, mishra? Yeah. But sannyasinam kvachit. As far as a sannyasi is concerned, it does not. What does the sannyasi do? Sannyasi and tyagi are virtually treated on par now. There seems to be no difference he is able to see. Then what does the sannyasi do? You think of a yogi, that's all. Sannyasi means a yogi. Even a sannyasi, what does he do? They sit down and meditate on the Brahman. yogi is supposed to at least, after doing your asana pranayama practice, sit down, meditate, and ultimately you will be able to see the distinction between Prakriti and Purusha. That's the goal. That's what I am supposed to do. So all the activities leading to that are not karma bound. They don't create any further karma in them. That's what the sannyasina also is doing. So the same idea is contained both in yoga and also in the Bhagavad Gita. Trividham karmana sannyasinam kvachit. It doesn't happen. What does not happen to sannyasi, which happens to ordinary people like us do a lot of activities. Part of it is good, part of it is bad. So the results are good results and bad results. Mishra. We get results which are mishra. Whereas for a sannyasi or a yogi, you substitute sannyasi for a yogi. Sannyasi is yogi because the activities they do, there is no motive. There is no motive in the sense there is no what you call prakritic motive. I am not trying to get anything from the outside world, from the universe. I don't want to get anything from this world, nor am I aspiring to go to heaven. That is also part of the universe. I am not going to either of this or for that. My goal is to understand the true nature of my soul, which is non-prakritic, which is beyond Prakriti. So how can Prakriti bind me when I am going towards the non-prakritic goal? Panchayetani mahabaho karanani nibodhame sankhye kritante proktani siddhaye sarva karmanam. Mahabaho means Arjuna here. Krita means krita ante, at the end of the karma kanda. In the Vedas there are three parts. One is known as the Samhita part, the second one is called the Brahmana part, and third is known as the Upanishad part, the Aranyaka or Upanishad part. In the Samhita part are the basic, basic hymns, HYMNS, basic hymns of the various Vedas, various devatas are there. In the second portion called the Brahmana portion or Karma portion that he is talking about, in that Karma portion they use the mantras, how to use these mantras to propitiate the various gods. The Yajna Karmas, the fire sacrifices are there. Use these mantras, offer something to Shiva or Vishnu or the various deities. Details are there. And the last portion is the Vedanta. Oh, no, I don't want to go through this. I want to understand the ultimate reality. So let me try it. There are two paths now. One path where you go to do the various activities mentioned in the Vedas so that you can go to heaven and all that. Whereas the other path is to ultimately reach a stage where you will not return to this prakritic bondage. You will not return to that. So people get interested in this. So he says, Krita ante, krita means activities, krita ante means the karma portion of the Vedas. Mostly they are kamya karmas. At the end of it, Sankhya here refers to not the regular Sankhya Shastra, it refers to the Vedanta, where the analysis about the ultimate reality is talked about, Sankhya. Sarva karmanam means all the activities, siddhaye for the for the perfection of these proktani, proktani, 5. In that the 5 causes are mentioned in that. That's what he says. Let us see what are the 5 causes. It's a very small section. I don't know why it is basically introduced there. Let us go through that. Okay, in every one, adhishtanam tata karta karanam cha pratak vidam vividhascha pratak cheshta devam chaivatra panchamam. Adhishtanam. In everyone, you, me, everyone, every creature, adhisthana. Adhisthana means what? The body. Okay, that is where we are established. We are established in this body, adhisthana. Then tata, then karta. Karta means what? The doer. What is the doer? The ego, not the Atman, ego. The agent. Right now, what am I doing? I am teaching a class. That's what I am doing now. Who does that? That is done by the ego. The Purusha does not do anything. Which one is doing? That ego, the ahankara, that is doing all these activities. Adhishtanam, karta, pratagvidham, karanam. Pratagvidham means different types of karana. Karana means senses. I use my arms, I use my antakarana, I use my arms, I use my legs, I use my indriyas. So the whole body is made up of the number of indriyas also. Karana. Then cheshtaha. There are different types of cheshtas, activities. There are so many different activities. That's why you do hundreds of asanas. The body does so many different activities. It's very versatile. It can do a lot of activities. Cheshta means activities. It can run, it can talk, it can sing, it can think, it can do so many activities, this body. Cheshtaha, atra. And finally, he says there is one more which is called Deva, Deva is what? God. According to this, there are 4 things. What are the 5 things? First one is the adhisthana, the body. The second is the karta, the one that does all these activities. There is something in me which keeps on driving me, doing all these activities, which is not the self according to them, that purusha. So there is something else which is driving me doing all these activities, and that is called ahankara. Then what is the third one? Where is indriyas? I got number of indriyas, so that I can do different types of activities. Cheshta, there are so many different activities I am able to do. And finally, ultimately, there is also God in me. According to this, you may agree with that, oh, I don't think there is God in me. That's a different point. That's what he says. He says there is God in every one of us. Sharirabang mano bihi yat karma prarabhate naraha nyayam va viparitam va panchaite tasya hetavaha. Naraha, when a human being, Sharira Vaka Manobihi, because these are the three karanas which he mentioned earlier. Even though he said different activities are there, the activities can be divided into activities of the mind, activities of the body, and activities of the speech. These are the three different activities. Mano Vakaya, Nyayam Va Viparitam Va. With this, with these three, I can do Nyaya. Nyaya means just activities. Viparitam Va Anyaya, activities which are not justifiable. I can do all these activities. I have three things in me. I can use my body and do activities which are nyaya, just. I can use this body and then do activities which are anyaya or unjust. I can think nyaya, right thoughts, or I can use my mind and use my thoughts for anyaya thoughts. Or I can speak what is right, what is satya, or I can speak asatya. In all these things, the five are involved. What are the five involved? The body is there, then the indriyas are there, ahankara is there, cheshta, various activities there, and ultimately the Lord is there. So this idea is very important. See, this is accepted in the olden days not only by pious people, but also people who are considered to be asuric. They also believed in God. Even the asuras believed. That's why they went to the Lord for asking the Lord to give me this. Even asuras believed in God. We don't believe, but asuras, even asuras believed in God in the olden days. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, now there is a shloka which we chant every morning, part of the morning prayer, in which we say that Janami dharmam nachame pravrittihi, janami adharmam nachame nivrittihi, kenapi devena hridisthitena yatha niyuktosmi tatha karomi. This is a prayer. Janami dharma, I know what is right. Any intelligent person knows what is right and what is wrong. You know that you got to drive your car on the left side of the right side of the road. Okay, I know that. Everybody knows that. I know what is right. I know all the traffic rules. I know all the rules regarding the income tax. Everything I know. Janami dharma, I know that. I can't say I am ignorant of that. I know everything. But then I am not able to do that. Janami dharma machame pravrittihi. Even though I know what is right, my mind is not, allowing me to do what is right. On the other hand, janami adharmam, I know what is not right. Nachame nivritti, I am not able to get away from that. I am not able to withdraw myself from activities which I should not do. I am very intelligent. I know everything, because unless I am intelligent, I will not know. I know everything what is right. I know everything which is not right. But I am not able to withdraw myself from doing things which I should not do, nor am I able to engage myself in activities which I should be doing. So he says, Janami dharmam nachame pravrittihi, janamya dharmam nach kenapi devena hridisthitena. You all say that Deva, the Lord is there in me. Oh, let him direct me. Let him direct me to do right things, and let him direct me to do the things which are not right. You know who said this prayer? Duryodhana. Yeah, the prayer is said to be done by Duryodhana. So that's why some people don't use this prayer at all. But then, if you look at the content, at least it says that there is a Lord in you. There is God in you. You would like to connect to that Lord. So this is a prayer that is included by some people. So I know right, I know what is right, I know what is wrong. Unfortunately, I am not able to engage myself in right activities. I am not able to dissociate myself with wrong activities. I don't know who you are. You are sitting, you are a Deva, a divine being which is in me. Yada niyuktosmi tarak. Please direct me so that I will do accordingly. Okay.
Tatraivam sati kartaram atmanam kevalam tuyaha pashyat akrita buddhitvat na sa pashyati durmatihi. Okay, now he is going back to what he said in the second chapter, the Sankhya Yoga. Tatra evam sati, keeping that aside, yahatu, whosoever, kevalam, Atmanam Kevalam. Kevalam means the pure or independent or unconnected with Prakriti. Atmanam, the self. Kartaram Pashyati. He thinks all the activities he mentioned earlier. All the activities, there are 5 things that are responsible. What are the 5 things? The what you call Ahankara or Karta, we'll see. Now he is going to deal with the Karta now. Karta, I said Ahankara earlier because that's why we understand Ahamkara. Kara means the doer. Ahamkara, I am the doer. So Ahankara. Anyway, Ahankara, Karta, then Adhisthana, body, then the Indriyas, fourthly the various activities, and fifthly Daiva. These are the five things. Whether you do good activities or wrong activities, all the 5 are involved. That's what he said earlier. Now he says, we said there is a karta. There is a karta. There is what you call karta means somebody who acts. Now, if I consider that karta as the self is the one that is which does all these activities, then my understanding is wrong. So I got to understand 2 things. Karta, drashta. Karta is the one that does the activities. Drashta is the one that sees all the activities going on. So I must be able to distinguish between these 2. So he says all of us, basically we don't distinguish between the karta and the drashta. Karta and drashta we don't distinguish. Kartaram pashyati, atmanam kartaram pashyati. When I see the Atma as the agent, when I see the Atma as the agent, see that what does it mean? I am not able to see the distinction between these 2. Does it make sense? Okay. So then what does it mean? I am making a mistake. Okay, right. Kartaram pashyati, akrita buddhiman. Akrita buddhiman. Why do you say akrita buddhiman? Buddhi means intellect. See, you have to use the intellect to understand this, isn't it? After all, how do you understand? Not by manas, not by the indriyas. The buddhi will have to step in and then say, okay, this is not right, this is right. Buddhi. Akrita buddhiman means a mind which is not properly developed. Akrita means krita here which is nicely developed or polished. Okay, something which is developed properly. Akrita buddhiman. Other thing that can be mentioned is buddhiman. I am quite intelligent. Akrita, but I don't apply my mind to this aspect. I don't apply my mind to this at all. What do? Right from the beginning, I consider that the Atman is the one that is acting. I keep on doing this. I don't ask the next question, where is that? Where am I? From where do I act? All these. So these kind of questions that the philosophers, the Upanishad, the Rishis have started asking. Where is that Atman? Is he in the physical body? Is he in the what you call Pranamaya Kosha? Is he in the Annamaya Kosha? It is in the Manomaya Kosha. These kind of questions we don't ask. We take it for granted that the what you call Karta, the actor, and the Purusha or the real Drashta or the seer are one and the same. I don't even see there are 2 things. So he is Akrita Buddhiman. People who are not able, who consider the Atman as the doer itself, isn't it? That's what all of us think. As such a person is Akrita Buddhiman. Akrita Buddhiman. Durmatihi Pashyati. So such a person, Akrita Buddhiman, who has not applied the mind, he sees the Atman as the doer, which is Atman as the Karta. There are 2 things, Karta and Drashta. Normally this question can be applied, asked. What am I doing now? I am teaching a class. What am I experiencing now? I am experiencing that I am teaching a class. There are 2 eyes. In one eye I say I am teaching a class. The other eye, I am experiencing that I am teaching a class. Okay, these are the 2 things. The one which is experiencing that I am teaching the class is the drashta. The one that is actively acting, that is the what you call karta. Karta is the actor. So I should be able to see this distinction. I don't normally what do? I take the drashta as the karta itself. I don't see the distinction. So he says, Akrita buddhiman. Okay. Durmatihi. Durmatihi means they don't apply their mind. Durmatihi, apply mind. Na pashyati. He doesn't see the distinction. He doesn't see the real self. Okay, now again he goes to the idea about Atma does not do anything. Yasya nahankrito bhavaha buddhihi yasya na lipyate hatvapi siman lokan na hanti na nibadhyate. Yasya means whosoever, ahankritaha bhavaha, I am the doer, I am the actor. Ahankritaha bhavaha. Aham means I, kritaha. Ahankritaha bhavaha, it is ahankara. Aham krita, I am the doer, bhava. The feeling that I am the doer is not there. Who is such a person? Such a person is the yogi who is able to clearly see the distinction between Prakriti and Purusha. In the person in whom the ahankrita bhavaha nasti, it is not there. So, what do I do? Whenever I do anything, I am able to constantly think, my mind is able to constantly think, even though activities is going on in me, the Atman is not acting. Atman is only observing all the activities that are going on. If I am able to, my mind, my buddhi is able to think on these lines, then I am able to see. So you may ask the question, then how is it the activities are going on? The activities are going on because of Prakriti. Prakriti is there which is acting. Prakriti is everywhere. Prakriti is in me also. Prakriti is the one that is acting. If I am able to see that Prakriti is the one that is acting, not the Atman, then I am able to see things as they are. Okay? Then only I am able to see things as they are. Is it clear?
If it's the Purusha that we're talking about,
Yes.
then when I think I see, or I am the one who is experiencing, in my mind it's still part of the ahamkara or the buddhi. It's not quite the Purusha. I'm searching for a word or that will be more appropriate.
Okay, I will put it in a slightly different way. Now, the way to understand is, according to yoga, whatever I am now experiencing is only a chitta vritti. Okay, when I see this glass of water, how do I see this glass of water? This glass, the light particles, the what you call rupa tanmatras go through my eyes, hit the retina, and then finally it reaches my brain. Not only that, it collects lots of other information, and then it also able to collect a lot of information of this body, because this body also contains a lot of nerves, and these nerves send impulses to the brain. So the brain not only collects all the outside objects and recreates it as a chittavritti, it also includes me. How does it get information about this body? Through the nerve system in me. So that is why I am able to get these two parts of this picture, chittavritti. One part of the picture shows everything outside, and the another part shows me sitting here and talking. In this way you can understand. In this way you can think. So the one that is able to have the total picture, the one that is able to see the total picture is the Purusha. Okay. So now normally we think that I am the subject, I see the outside world. I see the outside world. I am the subject, that is outside. This is how we all go about our daily activities like. But then Patanjali says, no, Ramaswamy is not the subject. Whatever he sees, that is not the object. The object is not only all the objects that are outside, which are reduced, I see the objects only as tanmatra. Tanmatra means, the light particles or the sound waves or whatever. These sensations they go to my brain. Once they go to the brain, we don't know how it comes. Let us assume that the brain has got the capacity to reproduce the whole thing. Collect all these things, coordinate with them, and then ultimately adds the emotions to it. I like this, I don't like this. Then it analyzes it. All these things. Let us not get into it. Finally, it produces a total picture. And that picture also includes me. Don't I see not only the objects that are outside, don't I also see that I am here, talking here? See, if I am the subject, everything else is object. I don't merely see the objects outside, but now I am also see me as part of the whole picture. That is the chittavritti. So, chittavritti is the object, and if chittavritti is the object, who is able to experience that? That is the Purusha. Basic nature, it should be only the awareness. It should be aware of what goes on in the chittavritti. It should be aware of what goes on in chitta as a chittavritti. What is the chittavritti now? Chittavritti is not only the outside world, but also this person. Say normal thinking is the individual is the self, the outside objects, all the outside objects are the objects. According to Patanjali, the object is the chittavritti, because you don't see any object per se. You don't see any object per se. Everything will have to be reduced. I see this object only because the light, there is no light, I can't see this. The light particles hit this object, and then they are reflected in different angles, that they go to my brain. So the main thing that we have to understand in the Yoga Sutras is that he is able to reduce the subject-object relations that we normally assume to be I am the subject and the outside objects are the objects. The objects is reduced to chittavritti, and there has to be a subject which is able to observe that. What should be its essential nature? Awareness. It should be aware of what is going on in the chittavritti. So that he calls it as Purusha. And then everything that I experience at any particular moment is just a chittavritti. So this is the first step in the whole process. So that is why earlier in the Bhagavad Gita we saw that in the second chapter he says there is one entity which is able to observe everything that went on when I was young, do the middle age, old age, and also the next Janma. It doesn't undergo any change. It keeps on watching whatever is going on. So that is the Purusha. So there are so many different ways they try to explain. And the way Patanjali has explained is probably something which is unique, because he reduced everything to the term Chittavriti. You don't find it in other, in other systems. Now the next question is, if the Chittavriti is a production of the mind, then what about the mind, the buddhi, brain? That itself is part of Prakriti, isn't it? That itself is part of Prakriti. Then how do you say that it is able to project and then Atman is able to see that? So they ultimately, the Vedantists come and say that the whole thing, whatever I am able to observe now, including my kid sitting and talking, is just an illusion. That is the view. The Vedanta, they try to answer the question that is next asked is, if you say everything is Prakriti, then buddhi also is part of Prakriti. How does it get the capacity to project something? Okay. Right. So, but anyway, the main thing that we got to understand is, in the Sankhya and especially Yoga, Sankhya doesn't say Chittavriti. Sankhya does not say Chittavriti. It says Purusha and the Prakriti. Okay, that's all it says. It doesn't say how the Purusha is able to get this experience. They don't go to the, whereas only in Yoga, right in the beginning he says, Yoga Chittavriti Nirodha. Straight away he goes to, okay, what you consider to be the subject is not the subject. The subject is the Purusha. What you consider to be the object, ultimately everything is reduced to Chittavriti. That's all what you see. In the 17th sloka, he says, a person who is able to see the distinction between the Atman and the Karta, such a person will be able to, even if he, that's example, I don't know why he took that. Even if he does anything, it is not, because he knows the real self is not engaged in this activity. And such a person will not do all the activities that he is talking about. Whatever prakritic activities that we do does not affect the Atman. And then if my mind is able to not only intellectually understand, but if my mind is able to see the Atman in that particular way, then you are able to completely dissociate from this body and then know that the real Purusha is unattached to this. So in the 17th sloka, he says that he can do whatever he wants. In fact, earlier we have seen that the yogi is able to understand that all the activities are done by Kama and Krodha. What is Kama? Desire, and Krodha, anger. Kama and Krodha. What are they? They are a part of the Prakritic mind. The mind is the one that has got both Kama and Krodha, and all the activities are done by what are called stimulated Kamakarta, Kamakarita, Nahankarta, Nahankarita, Manyukarta, Manyukarita, Nahankarta, Nahankarita. This is something, it's a Vedic prayer. What it says is, I am not doing anything. I've done something which I should not have done. It was done due to the karma that is in this body. Manyu, in anger, if I have done something, it is the Manyu which has done that. This karma which makes me do this, which is the Manyu which makes you do this. What is the idea? It doesn't say that you are trying to escape from the responsibilities. It only tells you that, okay, you must see the distinction between the Prakriti and Purusha. I have to keep on telling myself. And for that, these are mentioned. In fact, every morning, every day, I don't know whether you're familiar with it, we use this in Sandhya. Kamaha Akarshit, Manyura Akarshit, Namo Namaha. Kamaha Akarshit, the Kama, the desire which did this. Manyuha Akarshit, the anger did this. Namo Namaha. Now I pray to both Kama and Manyu not to bother me, not to keep on bothering me. The way it is different. I get very frequently angry, very frequently I am not able to control myself. I have to tell myself, I got to tell myself, no, this is not good, this is not good. So many different ways they would like to, like the individual to see the distinction between the Prakriti and Purusha. Prakriti and Purusha. Sooner or later, I must try to use whatever intellectual argument that you want to study the Vedas or study the Upanishads, study Sankhya, study any philosophy. Ultimately, I must be able to come to the conclusion. So, from that point of view, the Yoga Sutras are very important because it takes you to the next step. What is the main difference between our ordinary thinking and yogic thinking? In our ordinary thinking, we consider ourselves to be the self or the subject, and everything else outside is the object. In yoga, it says the self is the Purusha, the object is not the outside world. Everything that is reduced is Chittavriti. Chittavriti is the object. And Chittavriti can be from the outside object, or it can be Vikalpa, or it can be Nidra, or it can be Viparyaya. It can be anything, but everything will have to be reduced to Chittavritti. Where does it take place? In Chitta Akasha, in the mental space. So right now, whatever, according to Patanjali Yoga Sutra and this, right now what is going on, even though all these objects or all of you are outside of me, and I'm also, everything is taking place in the Chittavritti, as a Chittavritti. Okay, I don't see any object per se. I don't see any object as they are. Okay, we'll go to the 18th. Jnanam nyeyam parignata trividha karma chodana karanam karma karteti trividaha karma sangraha. Jnanam is actual activity for knowing. Nyeyam, the object that we know. Parignata, the one that is able to experience that. Trividha, in three ways. Karma chodana, karma chodana, the karmic activity. Then karana means the instrument. Karma activity, karta the doer, iti karma sangraha. What does it say? Jnanam nyeyam prajnata. Jnanam nyeyam prajnata. What is jnana? The act of knowing something. We do two things, two important things. One is we know a lot of things, and then we do a lot of activities. In the matter of knowing things, there are three things that used to be known. Which is the one which knows? Okay. How do you know? And what are the objects you know? These are the three things. They call three aspects of knowing. Jnanam, Jnayam, Prajnata, Jnayam, Jnayam or Jnata. Similarly, in the matter of activities, Karmam, Karta, Karanam. Karmam, Karta, Karanam. What is Karana? Karana is the instrument. So suppose I grasp this, my right arm is the Karana. What is the object I grasp? This pen. Who does it? That is the ego in me. That is the ego in me propels me to stretch my arm and hold this. Okay, these are the three things. Likewise, when I know some object, what are the three things? The object I want to know, which is the one that knows this, and thirdly, the actual process of knowing. In Yoga Sutras, they use several grahitur, grahana, grahyeshu. Grahita is the one that is able to grahana, object, grahana, grahita, grahana. Actual instruments are the grahana. Grahya, the object that we are able to grasp. Okay, we'll go to the next one. Jnanam karma cha karta cha tridhaiva guna bhedataha prochyate guna samkhyane yatavat shrunutannyapi. Okay, now he says that jnana, karma and karta, all the three are of three types. Jnanam means jnana. Karma, again, activity. There are two things. Jnana is what you call knowing something. Karma is doing something. Karta cha, the one who is doing the activities. Guna Vedataha, because of the three gunas, tridha eva, in three types. Guna samkhyane in the Sankhya Shastra, because Sankhya Shastra talks about the three gunas, prochyate. Tani api, even that, yatavati shrunu. Let me explain to you this. First, he takes up the one that knows, the one that experiences. Sarva bhuteshi yena ekam bhavam avyayam ikshate avibhaktam vibhakteshu tadjnanam vidhi satvikam. Okay, this is the first one. Vibhakteshu sarva bhuteshu. Vibhakteshu means separate. You are one vibhakti, I am one vibhakti, he is one vibhakti. Each one of us is a different vibhakti. Vibhakti, each one is separate, each individual. Sarva bhutesha, all the bhutas appear to be different. Each one is different from one another. But avibhaktam, there is one which is not which is not divided. Avibhaktam, avyayam, and it is avyayam, which is indestructible. Is it a good word? It cannot be destroyed. Ekam bhavam is the only vastu, the only thing, without any break. Avibhaktam, yena, by whom ikshate is able to see. Tat jnanam, that jnana, satvikam jnanam. Okay, even though each one of us is separate, individual, if I am able to see that one consciousness pervades each and every one of us, if I am able to see that, don't ask me how it is being done. That's the view. Ultimately, in Vedanta, that is the only reality. Then it becomes easy for us to see that. Okay, anyway, that ultimate reality is one. It is avibhaktam. It is not what you call it is not divided. Of course, many of the old Shastra, they talk about it. Of course, I am familiar with more of the Shankara's work, in which he says that if there is the Ghuta Akasha and the Mahakasha, the space outside and the space inside a pot in a room, both are one and the same. The difference appears to be because the number of parts are there. You can say space in this part to space in this part, but then all of them are one and the only space. That space is not affected by bringing different parts. Likewise, the one consciousness is not affected by a different individuals. If I am able to see that, my understanding of jnata is said to be sattvic. There is only one jnata, there is only one consciousness which pervades everywhere. This is the Vedantic approach, whether it is Visishta Advaita, Advaita or Advaita. Okay, the whole idea is there is only one consciousness that pervades everywhere. The Brahman pervades everywhere. Of course, some people say that there is a slight difference between Advaita Vedanta, Visishta Advaita and Dvaita, because Dvaita permits individual consciousness in every individual being, but that will be leave to the scholars, not for ordinary yogis like us. 21, isn't it? Prutatvena tu yat jnanam nana bhavan pratak vidhane veti sarveshu bhuteshu tat jnanam vidhi rajasam tu. But yat jnanam, whatever understanding, sarveshu bhuteshu, in all beings, pratak vidhane means separate. Pratak vidhane, separate. Each one has got a separate Atman. Nana bhavane, in many beings, Prutatvena, separately, Veti, one is able to understand, Tat Jnanam, that kind of understanding, Rajasam Vidhi. Okay, at least there is a difference between my understanding and this. My understanding is that, I am an individual being and there is no separate consciousness in me except whatever goes on in my brain. I don't find any difference between these two. Here, at least, this person is able to see there is a separate consciousness, separate consciousness. But the only thing is, it does not admit that there is only one consciousness that pervades everywhere. It says that each one has got a separate consciousness, which is pure, non-changing. Okay. Which philosophy subscribe to this? Sankhya and Yoga, both of them. Both of them say there are different Atmans, and each Atman is able to experience it. And ultimately, when there is a release, Kaivalya, the Kaivalya takes place for that one Atman. They ask the question, if there is a Kaivalya, what happens if there is only one consciousness? If Krishna Swami gets moksha or Kaivalya, what happens to Ramaswamy? Because the same consciousness is pervading everywhere. So then, of course, they have their own answers. But what I'm trying to say is that this is the difference. So why does he call it Rajasic? Rajasic, this kind of understanding, according to them, Sattvic understanding is one which goes through it completely. All sides it is able to see, it is able to understand the whole thing and then comes to a conclusion. Rajasic understanding is that it still is sharp, it is able to understand when compared to the Tamasic, but then it comes to a hasty conclusion. So according to the Vedantis, these yogis are right, but then they came to a hasty conclusion by saying that each individual Purusha is distinct and separate. They should have gone a step further and tried to understand that all the consciousness that appear to be separate are one and the same. That is the reality according to them. So that is why he calls it Rajasa. Have I confused you enough? Pritatvena tu yati jnanam nana bhavan pritak vidam. Of course, naturally, Shankaracharya takes it up as a proof for his Advaita philosophy, and then he says, anyway. Can we go to the next one? Yat Krishna bhade kasminne karye saktam ahaitukam atatvartavat alpam cha tattamasam udahritam. Now he is talking about tamasic understanding, which is the common understanding. Tu, then, but, yat, that knowledge, ekasminne, one karye, in activity, krishnavat, complete, saktam, getting attached to it, ahaitukam. All right, let me try to explain the shloka. What does it say? If a person identifies the entire being who does all the activities as the self itself, such a person is tamasic. Because I have not thought about it. I have not spent a moment thinking about who really I am. I have not thought about it. It is not that I don't have the intelligence. I have the intelligence, but I have not applied my mind. So far as this aspect is concerned, I have not applied my mind, even though I might have applied my mind to so many other aspects. From this point of view, from the point of view understanding my own self, that's why it's called Adhyatma Vidya. Okay, Adhyatma Vidya is a Vidya in which you will try to understand who really you are. Okay, we take it for granted. We take it for granted because nobody else around us, nobody thinks on these lines. My grandparents did not think on these lines. My grandsons also don't think on this. Nobody thinks on these lines. So what happens? I tend to think along. There is no opportunity given to me to think in a different way. So every one of us assume that the body is the self and then go about doing all the activities, assuming this body to be the self, and then I'm selfish. I try to satisfy this person. If I really know what the real self is, I'm also selfish. The person who knows the real self also is selfish. The person who thinks the body to be the self also is selfish. But then, because my understanding of the self is wrong, I try to satisfy this person, which is a tamasic understanding of the self, and not the real self, which is pure consciousness. Okay, all of us are intelligent, you know. The only thing is, I have not spent any time, I have not thought on these lines. That's all the difference. In fact, when you go the steps of yoga, each yoga step is simpler than the previous one. You know, the activities that we are going through in our normal life is so complicated. You know, it's so complicated. It takes it takes so much out of us. We got to think in so many different ways. But then when you start to become a yogi, you start using your yama niyamas, enormous of these vrittis appear unnecessary. They are not unnecessary. Right now it is all necessary. As a being in the world, the way, you know, I go about like other people, I need all these chitta vrittis to survive or to be happy. But the moment I become a yogi, start my yoga, so what you call yama niyamas, enormous amount of the chitta vrittis come down, my vrittis are reduced substantially. My chitta vrittis are reduced to ahimsa, satya, asteya, aparigraha, brahmacharya, shaucha, santosha. When you compare your mind in those kind of vrittis, compared to the kind of vrittis we normally have in our day-to-day life, you could see enormous amount of junk is removed. Junk from the point of understanding itself are removed from the mind. Then you go one step further. You go one step further. Then you practice your asanas. When you practice your asanas, what happens? Asanas are supposed to remove the rajoguna from us. All the rajasic vrittis go down. Substantially they come down. You become less and less agitated. You know, the mind becomes a lot more calmer by your practice. Then you do your pranayama. Then tamasic vrittis are going down. Substantial reduction of the vrittis. You know, my mind is absolutely like, you know, what do you call, clearing your recycle bin in your computer. So suddenly one day you decide to throw a lot of junk out of it. Likewise, the yoga does it. And then once you do pranayama, then what happens? You sit down and meditate. At that time, what happens? There is only one vritti. There is only one vritti. In ekagrata, you are meditating upon one tattva alone, just one. All the other vrittis are absent during that particular period of time. So you keep on working on this. Over a period of time, the mind is going to be satisfied with just one vritti. Look at the amount of freedom that you are able to get for the mind. And ultimately, in the state of Nirodha Samadhi, even that vritti is not there. It becomes completely vritti free. So yoga, the yama niyamas, are the starting point for cutting down a lot of unnecessary vrittis. More vrittis, more botheration. More vrittis, more pain. You know, one vritti goes down, another vritti comes, then the next vritti comes. Constantly, they keep you busy. Keep your mind busy. Even when you are sleeping, you know, that is, here it is only quiet. It is quiet for a short period of time. Again, the same vrittis come. There is no reduction in the vritti just because we have gone to sleep. Okay. Why did I say this? Yes, that is, in the normal way of things, we consider this body beat itself. Once we consider the body, we get engaged in different activities. You take one particular activity and then say, okay, I am doing this particular activity. I am the self. I am doing this particular activity. So I have no way of understanding anything other than the physical person as the self. If I keep on working on this line, such an understanding of the self, I am not saying I am tamasic, such an understanding of the self is tamasic. Understanding that the body is the self is a tamasic understanding of the self. Understanding that there is a separate consciousness in me and every being has got a separate consciousness, that's a rajasic understanding of the self. When I am able to understand there is one consciousness everywhere, then this is sattvic understanding. We go to 23 years. Niyatam sangarahitam aragadveshataha kritam apala prepsuna karma yattad sattvikam uchyate.
Okay, now he's talked about the sattvic understanding of the Atman, rajasic understanding of the Atman, tamasic understanding of Atman. Perhaps is one of the most important shlokas, these three, because they deal with the self. They deal with the self. That's why they are very important. And again, if you look at the commentators, they take a lot of space to work with this with these shlokas, especially the first one of the three. Okay, so now he is going to the karma. First he took the Atma, now the karma. Apala prepsuna, without any desire on the fruits of action. Sangarihitam, not attachment to those objects. There are two things. One is, I'm going to do this, I will get this. So that is the relationship. Second one is, because I got this, I'm happy with this, I'm attached to it now. So I keep on working to get that. Apala prepsuna sangarihitam, without attachment. Aragad deshataha. Aragad deshataha. So when I get something, I get attached to it. When I don't get that, I am going to be angry for the causes that were responsible for my not getting it. So aragad dveshataha, without attachment or dvesha or anger. Niyatam, ordained activities, all the activities that are required to be done, yat karma kritam, whatever actions are done, tat satvikam uchyate. That kind of activity is called satvika activity. Again, he has mentioned it earlier. Now he is going to talk about it again. Yattu kamepsuna karma sahankarena va punaha kriyate bahulaya asam tadraja samudakritam. Kamepsuna, absolutely, what you call, absolutely drawn by desire. Va, or punaha, again, ahankarena. Oh yes, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. Not that I want this, but no, I can do this, I am capable of this. Supposing I'm a billionaire having a number of industries, I don't need another industry, but I do one more. Okay, I can start this, I can run this, I can do this. This is pure ahankara, there is absolutely no need for that. Sahankarena, ahankarena, bahula ayasam. And then for that, you look at the amount of effort that you got to put in. Any project that you take, all of you are familiar with that. Anything that you knew you have to do, enormous amount of effort you will have to put in. Bahula ayasam, yat karma, whatever activities kriyate is done, tattu rajasam udahritam. Activities done with desire or activities done due to boost your own ego, both of them are considered to be rajasic activities. Anubandham kshayam himsam anapekshacha paurusham mohadarabhyate karma yattat tamasamuchyate. Many people start a lot of activities without thinking. So he says that many people, suddenly say, okay, I will do this, and then without even thinking, you just go along, and sometimes you jump in water, or you do something, something heroic you try to do without planning, without thinking, without training, isn't it? No? I don't do that, but anyway. Anubandha means consequences. Kshayam, what will be the loss? Himsam, what will be the pain one has to bear? Paurusham, and whether I am capable of that, paurusham. Anapeksha, without thinking anything on these lines. Mohat, purely by infatuation. Yat karma, any activity, arabhate is started. Tat tamasam uchyate. Okay, supposing my girlfriend says, all right, you jump in this water, can you stay there for 5 minutes? You don't think about it. You want to, what you call, impress her. You jump into that, and then you don't come out. Anyway, these are examples. Sometimes we do a lot of things just because we are prompted by somebody else or you are challenged. You don't think whether you are capable of that. Your ego is hurt. So you would like to prove that you are right. So you don't know whether you are capable of that. So they are tamasic people, they don't think. Anyway, the whole idea is that activity is done without desire to the results. That is sattvic. Activity is done so that because of ahankara and all, or because of desire. That is the second group. Third group is people who act without thinking. That's all. That's all what it amounts to. Okay, 26. Mukta sango naham vadi dhrityutsahasam anvitaha siddhi asiddhayoho nirvikaraha karta satvika uchyate. Now he is going to the karta. Karta is the doer, my ahankara. Okay. Mukta sangaha, without any attachment. Anaham vadi,
there is no ahankara. In the sense, there is no, what you call, there is no exaggerated opinion about myself. Dhriti utsaha samanvitaha. Dhriti, firmness, and utsaha. Utsaha is enthusiasm. Siddhi asiddhayoho, when I am able to succeed in it, or if I don't succeed in an activity, siddhi asiddhayoho. Nirvikaraha, I don't change. That is, I don't become elated if things are done very well. I don't get deflated if I am not able to do things properly. Karta, such a doer, such a person is called Satvika Uchyate. You see the difference? Ragi karma phala prepsuhu lubdho himsatmakaha ashuchihi harsha shokan vidakarta rajasaha parikirtitaha. Ragi, person with attachment, desire. Karma phala prepsuhu, again, same thing, desires of the, what you call, action, the results of the action. Lubdaha means, what you call, miser. Himsatmakaha, there are certain people who are, I don't know, maybe it's genetic. If I am happy, if I can harm somebody. If somebody else is happy, I am not happy. I want the other person to be unhappy so that I can feel good. Of course, in families you can see that there will be one or two people, when everybody is happy, they are going to have a long face. Himsatmakaha ashuchihi means who is not clean. Harsha shokanvitaha. For one moment he is very happy, the next moment he is depressed. Very easily, what do you call that? Mood swing, intolerant, or mood swings. Karta, such a karta, rajasaha is said to be rajasic. Ayukta prakrita stabdaha shato naishkritika alasaha vishadi dirghasutri cha karta tamasa uchyate. What about those people who are called the tamasic actors? Ayuktaha means a person who does everything without applying the mind. Yukti here is to unite your mind, unite your buddhi with the object. Many times I can do a lot of activities without applying my mind. Ayuktaha. Prakritaha means prakritaha, a person whose mind has not developed. Prakritaha, mind has not developed. It's not prakriti. Prakritaha means more worldly, let us say. Stabdaha means obstinate. Stabdaha means obstinate person. You go and tell them, no. Suppose you say that Atman is different, that's what the Bhagavad Gita says. No, this is the Atman. I feel pain in my toe. One day I was telling somebody, I feel pain in my toe. This is the Atman. This body is the self. There is no other self. Stabdaha. Shataha means somebody cheats. Shataha. Naishkritikaha means somebody who takes revenge. Vengeful.
In these three, is he talking about personalities?
Yes, karta. Now the Atma Vishaya has been completely discussed. Now you and I are all actors. Now we are all acting. So even here, as an actor, depending upon whether you are sattva, rajasic or tamasic, the way you act also is going to change. That is now discussing.
Say that again.
The way we act, could be sattvic, rajasic or tamasic. Now, even assuming this is the actor, still there is the actor. The Prakriti still is going to act.
Right.
Okay.
So
Right.
personality is
Personality, sattvic personality, rajasic personality, tamasic personality, from the point of view of activity.
Okay.
How my personality, the way I act.
As opposed to the action. The previous three you had said were karma, the actions. And
Yeah,
now
actions.
We're talking about
Now the attitude. Yeah, you are right. The personality. He talks about the nature of the person who is acting.
Okay.
Previously, he talked about the kind of activities
the actions
such people.
themselves.
Yeah, actions
now
themselves.
we're talking
No,
about
so actor.
the doer, the personality of the.
Right. Yes. Ayuktaha. Okay, ayuktaha means somebody who won't apply the mind. Prakritaha, mind is not developed or worldly. Okay, then Vishadi. Vishadi means somebody who gets into a state of depression. There are some people who are constantly, very quickly, they become sorrowful. They become depressed. They become depressed. Depression is a manifestation of tamas. Dirghasutri. Dirghasutri is somebody who, what do you call it, procrastinator. procrastinator, Dirghasutri. Such a karta, such a actor, tamasaha uchyate, is considered to be a tamasic person. Buddhirbhedam dhriteshaiva gunataha trividham shrunu prochamanam aseshena pratatvena dhananjaya. Okay, now he is talking about buddhirbhedam. Buddhi is another. Buddhi means intellect, Intellect can also be divided into three, Satvika, Rajasic and Tamasic. And the what you call dhriti. Dhriti means firmness or resoluteness, if you want to call it. That also can be divided into three, Satvik, Rajasic, Tamas. He says, I am going to explain. See, all these things you will be able to relate. That's why they are quite important. Dhananjaya is Arjuna. Buddhehe, Dhritehe cha, Buddhehe of the buddhi or intellect, Dhritehe cha, and also of the determination, Gunataha, depending upon the three gunas, Trividam Bhedam, three types of differences, Pratatvena, separately, Aseshena, without residue, Prochamanam. I am going to tell you, please listen. He is going to talk about these two. Pravrittim cha nivrittim cha karye bhaya bhaye bandham moksham cha ya veti buddhi sa partha satviki. A buddhi and intellect. Partha is what? Arjuna. Pravrittim nivrittim cha. What is pravritti, nivritti? Pravritti, all the activities that we do can be divided into pravritti and nivritti. Pravritti is all the activities that we do to get what we want. Nivritti is all the activities that we do to get rid of what we don't want. Isn't it? Okay. Pravritti, nivritti. Okay, pravritti. I'm hungry, so what do? I go to a restaurant and then eat whatever is available. 1 hour later, I find a lot of stomach pain. So what do? I go to a doctor or to a pharmacy to get some medication. So the first activity is pravritti, the second activity is nivritti. You constantly get into, oh, I want this, I go, and then I get into problem, I want to get rid of it. Again, I go back. It's called pravritti. Entire life is divided into pravritti and nivritti. That's what we keep on doing, pravritti and nivritti. The chitta-vrittis can be divided into pravritti and nivritti. Okay, so what does it say? Partha, pravrittim, nivrittim, both pravritti and nivritti. Karya, akarya. Likewise, karya means the things that is right to do. Akarya means things that I should not do. There are again activities that I should do, activities I should not do. Okay, there are so many activities possible. Karya, akarya. Bhaya, abhaye. Bhaya means fear, abhaya means what do you call it? Fearlessness. Something we should be afraid of, something we should not be afraid of. Bhaya, abhaye. Bhaya, abhaye. Bandham moksham. Likewise, bandha and moksha. What is bandha? Bondage. Bandha, bondage. Moksha is release. Bandham moksham. Ya veti. The person who is able to understand this, veti, sa buddhihi, such an intellect is called satviki. Okay, what should my intelligence do? Pravrittim, nivrittim. I should know what should I do as a pravritti. What should I run away from? No. Pravritti, nivritti. When you go to a party, if you see somebody whom you like, what do you say? You go to meet them, pravritti. Next moment you see somebody whom you don't want to see. What do you say? You turn and then go away. It's called pravritti and nivritti. So use your intellect always. All of us use our intellect, trying to find out what I want or what I don't want. Here he says a person should be able to understand this. So for a sattvic mind, what is pravritti? What is nivritti? Pravritti is all the activities that you do with the external world. Nivritti is all the activities that you do to get away from this world so that you will be able to understand the spiritual goal of understanding yourself. You see? So pravritti and nivritti for an intelligent person is not the same as our pravritti and nivritti. Our pravritti and nivritti is limited to a few things in the world. These things I like, these things I don't like. My pravritti and nivritti is limited to the outside world. Whereas for a sattvika person who is able to think, my pravritti will be to understand the true nature of me. That's what I will be doing. I will do my yoga. I will do my meditation. That's my pravritti. What is my nivritti? I won't get engaged into the outside activities. A person who is able to understand this, what is to be done, what is to be achieved, what is to be avoided, I should know. What should I avoid? I should avoid prakritic activities. What should I achieve? I should try to achieve the Atmajnana. Pravritti. So that is Sattvika mind. A Sattvika mind. Okay, what does it note? Pravritti, nivritti, karya, akarya. What is to be done and what should not be done? Akarya. He has already explained all the karya that are what you call kamya karma. All the activities that are done so that I want to achieve something, that is akarya, I should not do. What is karya? Again, the same yogic activities. I do the yogic activities so that rajas and tamas will come down from my system. Ultimately, I become sattvic. I'll be able to achieve the ultimate goal. Karya, karya. Okay, what should I do? What should I not do? So initially, I'm not able to do it completely. I should try to cut down what is akarya from this point of view. Karya and akarya will vary from person to person. A person, an intelligent person, will be able to understand this. If he calls this a sattvic person, is a person who is going after the real self. Okay, if such a person, he will know what are the activities to be done, what are the activities to be avoided. Or he will cut down the activities to be avoided and increase the activities that will help him to understand the true nature of the self. Karya, karya, bhaya, bhaye, bhaya, bhaye. What should I be afraid of? Bhaya, bhaye. What will the sattvic person do? I will be afraid of taking another birth. I don't want to go through this cycle again and again. Bhaya. What is the abhaya? Abhaya is when I am able to reach the ultimate goal. That is the place where there is no fear. Bhaya, bhaye. So I should be able to think. What about us? Bhaya, bhaye. Certain things, darkness, new place, these are all bhaya. Abhaya is my home, See, this is how I will divide what is bhaya and abhaya. Whereas the yogi will divide it bhaya and abhaya. All my activities which will take me to future birth, that is bhaya. What is nirbhaya? Understanding myself is nirbhaya. Like that, bandham moksham. What is bondage and moksha? Bondage, bandha is again same thing. Activities done which will propel me to another janma, that is bandha. Moksha is where all the activities that will help me to get away from this cycle. The person Veti, the person who is able to understand that such buddhi, such intelligence, how do I understand all these things? Using my intellect, using my buddhi. So if my buddhi is going to be in this direction, then I can say my buddhi is sattvic according to Krishna. The next one. Yaya dharmam adharmam cha karyam cha karyameva cha ayathavat prajanati buddhihi sa partha rajasi. Now he is talking about rajasic kind of buddhi. Partha, Arjuna, yaya, by which? Dharma, adharma, what is right and what is wrong? Karya, karya, what is the right thing to do, what is not acceptable? Ayathavate, exactly how they are. Prajanati, the person who does not understand this, sa buddhihi, such an intellect is called rajasi. So that is why earlier he said the buddhi should be like a, plow, yeah, should be sharp like a plow. Okay, buddhi should be sharp like one. Once my buddhi becomes more rajasic, then it has got more, it's not sharp. It is going in different directions. So such a buddhi will not be able to, in fact, in the Bhagavad Gita, he goes to the extent of saying, even the yogis don't have a, what he call the sattvic buddhi, because they don't understand the Atman properly. Because according to him, there is only one Atman pervading everywhere, whereas the Sankhyas and yogis say there is individual Atmans in everyone. He says that's not sharp enough, the buddhi is not sharp enough. I mean, he goes to the extent of saying that. Dharma, adharma, karya, akarya. Then the person who is not able to correctly understand this, correctly understanding such a mind, such a buddhi is called rajasic buddhi. Adharmam dharmamiti ya manyete tamasavrita sarvarthan viparitamsha buddhihi sa partha tamasi. Partha, Arjuna, tamasavrita, completely blinded, let us say, like a veil covered by tamas or the darkness of tamas. Adharma dharmamiti, thinking what is adharma, which is what is not right, dharmamiti, this is right. What is adharma is considered to be dharma by them. Okay, adharmam, dharmam iti. Sarvarthane, viparitane, sarvarthane, all the objects, viparitane, completely wrongly, wrongly concludes, manyate, sa buddhihi, such a mind is called tamasi. Dhrityayaya dharayate manaha pranendriya kriyaha yogena avyabhicharinya dhritihi sa partha sattvaki. Now he is talking about dhriti. What is dhriti? Dhriti is firmness. Dhriti is firmness. Partha, Arjuna, yogena with a focused mind. Here yoga means ekagrata. When the mind is completely in the object rather than being disturbed all over the place. Avyabhicharinyaya means what you call abhyabhicharana. Sometimes I am firm, sometimes I am not. Abhyabhicharana without any disturbance, without being affected. Manaha, prana, indriya, kriyaha. Manaha means mind, prana means what you call life force, prana, indriya, indriyas, kriya. All these activities, the person who is able to control and hold them, sadhriti, such a, what you call, such a dhriti, firmness is sattviki. Okay, the only thing I got to do when I go along is I got to maintain what you call, I got to maintain mind, prana, and indriyas. My mind, prana, indriyas should be kept in good condition. That's all I have to do. I have nothing else in the outside world. I am stuck with this body until I am able to achieve the ultimate goal of Kaivalya. I got to take care of this body. That is why yoga takes a lot of what you call gives a lot of importance to maintain good health. You know, why do you want to have good health? I need good health not because I can enjoy life, but it is I need a good health so that I will be able to go along the path of yoga. I can't fall sick. If I keep on falling sick, the mind is going to be distracted by the body. So I don't want to get sick. I don't want to get sick. If I don't want to, what should I take care of? I should take care of not only the body but also the mind and also the indriyas, and mainly the prana, because prana is the one that that if it moves properly, I will not fall sick. Prana is the one that makes me sick if it is not functioning properly. So I take care of the prana. How do I do it? By doing pranayama regularly. I take what you call proper control of the indriyas by doing what? By a number of methods suggested, including the pratyahara and all. What are the other thing? Prana, indriya,
Kriya.
mind. Of course, mind. Mind is the one, because I don't want the mind to be easily distracted. I want to develop what you call my mind to become strong by meditation, by ekagrata, by focusing my attention on. So for the mind, meditation, for the indriyas, pratyahara, and for the body and what you call for my life, I have to do asana and pranayama. So the yogi is able to take care of these things. That's all what I got to do. If I do my activities so that I can maintain good indriyas, good mind, good prana, then such a dhriti, such a firmness is called what you call sattvika dhriti. Yaya tu dharma kamarthane dhritya dharayate arjuna prasangena phalakankshi dhritihi sa partha rajasi. Okay, dhriti means firmness. So what do I do? Like all of us. Yatha partha arjuna tu. But yaya dhritya, by that firmness of mind, dharma kama arthana. Dharma means my, what do you call, my dharma. I maintain my dharma. Kama is what? Kama is my, what do you call, things I like. Arthane, my belongings. Arthane, dharayate. If I am able to protect them, I protect my dharma. Yes, I protect my dharma. I keep on doing what I am required to do. That's my dharma, swadharma. I am able to do that. Dharma, arthane. I got a lot of objects, I got a bank balance, I got a house, I got property here, property there. These are my arthas. These are my possessions. Arthane. Dharma, artha. What is the third one? Dharma, artha, kama. My desires. I fulfill my desires firmly. I do that. Okay, dhritva. Dharayate Arjuna. One is able to protect all these things are prasangena phalakankshi. Prasangena with attachment. Phalakankshi with a desire in the goals. Dhriti, such a dhriti or such firmness of the mind is called rajasic. This is what all of us have. All of us have this rajasic dhriti. We protect our property, we protect our everything that we have with a lot of diligence. Am I right? It's a lot of diligence. Yaya swapnam bhayam shokam vishadam madame cha na vimunchati durmedha dhritihi sa partha tamasi. Partha Arjuna. Durmedha, Medha means what you call buddhi. Durmedha, it is spoiled. Yaya, by which? Swapnam means sleep. Swapna here dream, but basically swapna refers to the time spent on the bed. Bhayam means fear. Shoka means depression. Vishada, confusion. Madam what you call pride. Na vimunchati, the one who is not able to give up. Sadhritihi tamasi. Okay, I will know. Firmly, I want to sleep for 8 hours. I want to sleep for 10 hours. I don't change. I won't change that. Likewise, these are the various bad habits. Sleeping for long hours, keep on remaining depressed and remaining confused. Okay. A person who is not able to give up these negative qualities, such a dhriti, such a firmness, you won't tell them they won't give up. They won't give up. Such firmness is known as what? Tamasic dhriti. Sukam tu idanim trividham shrunu me bharatarshava abhyasad ramate yatra dukkhanam cha nigacchati. Bharatarshava. Who is Bharatarshava? Arjuna. Why is he called Bharatarshava? He is like a bull. Earlier he said he was a tiger. Now he says he is a bull. Bharatarshava is like a bull in the Bharata lineage. Yatra, in what abhyasate, in whatever practices, ramate means one feels happy. Dukkam antam cha. Antam means in the end, which ends in dukkha, nigacchati, trividam sukham. Okay, he says, let me tell you about the practice. Trividam shrunu bharatarshava abhyasa. Now he is talking about abhyasa. Abhyasa means what? Practice. What is the practice? That is sattvic, rajasic and tamasic. He says, what practice will lead me to end the dukkha? What practice will lead me to end all the dukkha that I am experiencing now? Let me hear that from me. Yattatagre visham iva pariname amrutopamam tatsukam sattvikam proktam atma buddhi prasadajam. Yat tat, whatever, agre, in the beginning, visham iva, appears to be very unpalatable, visham iva, unpalatable. Parinamate, but in the end, pariname, at the end, amrita upamam, like nectar. Okay, and how does it take place? Atma buddhi prasadajam. By the understanding of the self, the buddhi gets a clarity, that clarity. Tatsukam, that happiness or that agreeable feeling, sattvikam proktam. So what does he say? Initially it is very difficult. Even to understand this, it is very difficult. All the Shastras keep on, all the Upanishads keep on talking it. Yoga talks about it, Sankhya talks about it, Bhagavad Gita talks about it. All these texts talk about this. They say that our understanding of the self is not right. Okay, it is not right. It is not right. It is not right. The only goal of our taking human birth is to understand the self. There is nothing else. So they keep on telling us in so many different words, so many in different places. They keep on telling it. But initially it is very difficult because I am not used to this kind of thing. Not that they are difficult to understand. I am not used to this. That's the only problem. I keep on. My mind has been thinking in a particular way. Taking the outside world as real, and I keep on working in these directions day in, day out. So it is something which I am not familiar with, It is quite logical, but then I am not familiar with this logic. That is why my mind takes a lot of time to get adjusted to it. Initially there is a revulsion. After some time you start looking at a few things that it has to offer, then you start slowly understanding that. Then you develop a real ruchi for it. Ruchi means real interest in these things. You start developing that. So initially it is very, very, it's very, it's like, it is pain. It's a lot of pain. And studying the Yoga Sutras, the first time you read the Yoga Sutras, it's a lot of pain. Second time you see, it's a little more clear. It's okay. Sometimes after you read 2 or 3 times, you will find that it is as more interesting than reading a novel, because the way he is able to narrate who really we are, it is a beautiful way he goes about explaining it. So once you start developing an interest in that, ultimately you are able to see, let us say, you become a yogi and are able to understand that. That sukha is something which you cannot experience, even if you take hundreds of lives the way we are going about. So he says that kind of abhyasa, the abhyasa which leads you to understanding the self, so that it gives you immense happiness or immense bliss to the mind, is called sattvika abhyasa. And what is that sattvika abhyasa? It is yoga. Go and tell everybody. Sattvika abhyasa is yoga. That is the only way this can be achieved. Vishayendriya sanyogate yattat agre amrutopamam pariname visham iva tatsukam rajasam smrutam Vishaya indriya samyogate. Vishaya means object, indriya means the senses, samyogate, by the union of the senses with the objects of the senses, yati, whatever, agre, in the beginning, amrutamiva appears to be very, very pleasurable, pariname, in the end, vishamiva, as if poison, it becomes unpalatable or what you call bad as Visha, Tat Sukham, that kind of Sukha, Rajasam Smrutam, it is called Rajasam. Initially it is very, what you call, very, very pleasant, but ultimately it proves to be absolutely, what you call, absolutely bad. It gives a lot of pain. Whereas on the other hand, the Rajasic, this kind of Atma study, initially it is very, very painful. It is very difficult for the mind to settle down to the different way of thinking. Different but logical way of thinking. So ultimately, what you get out of this is immense happiness, understanding your own self. On the other hand, there are lots of activities in the world which stimulate the senses, and then once you start satisfying the senses, initially they appear to be very good, but ultimately they lead you to enormous unhappiness. I don't say this is what the Bhagavad Gita says. Yadagre chanubandhe cha sukham mohanamaatmanah nidralasya pramadottham tattamasam udahritam. See, this you got to understand. The first one is the real message. The second and third one are there for the people to compare with the way that we are going about. That's all. Otherwise, there is no need to talk about these things. Yadagre cha anubandhe cha sukham mohanamaatmanah nidralasya pramadottham tattamasam udahritam. Yat sukham, whatever happiness, agre in the beginning, anubandhe and the end, atmanaha, okay, which gives you, what you call, which gives you complete confusion. Complete confusion. Nidra alasya pramada uttam. Nidra means sleep, alasya means laziness, pramada is carelessness or wobbling nature, tat tamasam, tat sukham samartham. Okay, this is very clear. What he says is, if anything that makes your mind dull and you feel certain amount of, what you call, good feeling, that is called tamasi. Anything that dulls the mind, it dulls the mind, and out of that, because the mind is neither sattvic or rajasic, it is become dull. It is not tamasic already, but you take you take something which dulls the mind, and out of that there seems to be a confused state. You get addicted to that, and that he says is the tamasic. So what are the things that nidra alasya pramada uttaram. Nidra, what is nidra? Nidra is sleep. It puts you to sleep. It doesn't make you active, it puts you to sleep. Laziness, and also you lose balance, both mental and physical balance. That kind of sukha is called tamasic sukha. I hope you understand what he is trying to indicate here. Na tadasti prithvivyam va divideveshu va punaha sattvam prakritijair muktam yedebhihi syat tribihi gunaihi prakritijahi arising out of prakriti yebihi, these tribihi gunaihi, these three gunas arising from these gunas, yet muktam syat, whatever is the release, muktam tat sattvam, that individual, prithvivyam, in the entire world, va, or punaha, again, divi devesh, even in the heavens, nasti, there is nobody. He says that the vice-like grip, the prakriti has got all the beings, is so strong, it's very difficult to find anybody who will be able to get out of this prakriti. But at the same time, you must also understand that it is the prakriti which binds us, and it is the prakriti which will be able to give release to us also. So we have to use what is that one particular aspect that it is a buddhi, it is the intellect. I should use my buddhi to understand the whole thing. That I should make my buddhi sattvic, and then what are the means available? It is yoga. All other philosophies just talk about the ultimate goal, but only in yoga gives you the actual step-by-step method by which the rajas and tamas can be brought down and sattva can be increased, and then you will be able to achieve the ultimate goal. So whether by accident or by design, we are all somehow got into yoga, and then if you will see that the entire book, even though it is called the Brahma Vidya, it is also known as Yoga Shastra. He says Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastre. The body of knowledge, the goal is to understand the Brahman, but then the means is Yoga Shastra.